Hi, I'm Kyle Cook with Bear Creek Photography NC, and I'm here to announce your next assignment. This assignment will be due on May 6th. We like to give you a weekend right before the assignment is due to give you an extra chance to tweak or process your photo to get it just right. Melissa and I chose this subject because so many times when we've judged a competition or critiqued photos, we find that we can't always identify the actual subject. This useful exercise will help you present a defined subject in your image. What is our assignment for April? Simplicity. Simplicity is defined as the quality of being simple. Well, that's helpful, huh? We are going to have you employ the concept of simplicity in your photo by paring down your subject matter or your background and foreground, or possibly both or neither. You can choose a simple background by using an artificial backdrop, such as a sheet, cloth, or jacket, or other plain colored object behind your subject. Another way is to blur out the background so that it puts emphasis on your subject. That being said, these aren't the only ways to achieve simplicity in your photographs. Sometimes everything is in focus, but the emphasis is on color or shape with just a little bit of detail coming through. Melissa and I have included images that demonstrate this concept in several different ways. We'll also include images that are busy. These images tend to be unsettling as you don't know where to focus your attention. You're just busy looking all around the photo and your eyes don't really settle on anything. This is not what you want. For those of you who are just learning about your camera and photography in general, here are some tips on achieving your simple background. The blurred background is generally achieved by opening up or increasing your aperture, which, simply put, is the hole through which the picture is taken. Contrary to what you might think, initially, the smaller the number of your aperture, the larger the hole. So, f5.6 is a larger hole than f16. Remember, the number is a fraction, like 1 over 5.6 or 1 over 16. And we know that 1 over 5.6 of a pie is a bigger piece of pie than 1/16 of the pie, right? Which would you prefer? Well, it all kind of depends on what kind of pie, right? A larger aperture, smaller number, larger fraction, makes less of your image in focus. This helps to simplify a busy background. Conversely, a smaller aperture helps make more of your image in focus. This too depends on the lens you use. A wide-angle lens will normally allow you to have more in focus than a telephoto lens. The longer the lens, the less of your picture will be in focus. Also, a macro lens will usually have a shallower depth of field, what is in focus in the foreground and the background, than a wide-angle lens. Sometimes, however, it's not only your depth of field that helps you simplify. Sometimes you can have a very deep depth of field and still have a simple image. It all has to do with your subject. You'll see some examples of that in our sample photos as well. Also, remember to take into account your lighting and composition. As we always suggest, think creatively. Think outside the box. Melissa and I will be participating in this assignment as well. It's always good for us to exercise our photographic brains too. Feel free to critique our images when we post them at any time or ask questions. You can do that in posts or comments, or if you have a question you want to ask us privately, you can do so in Messenger. We encourage you though to ask on the comment section in ImageMakers so that everybody can see your question and the answers that we give. Oh, and one more thing. Do not shoot a flower for this assignment. We have our reasons. So get out there and shoot. Be simple-minded for this assignment. That's sometimes not hard for me to achieve. Have fun. This first picture was taken, I believe, at a Revolutionary War reenactment that we went to years ago. The simplicity is achieved by the colors and the lack of busy detail. There's just enough detail in the spokes of the tent or umbrella, can't remember what it was. The colors are soft, graduated shades of white to tan. Composition-wise, circles always attract attention. The hat is a circle and draws your eye first. The second image was taken in Florida. The sun was setting and the reflection was really calming. I like the way the grasses add a bit of detail, but not too much. The colors are soft and gentle. To me, this is simplicity. The colors in this image are very similar to the colors in Melissa's first image, very soft, from white to a medium dark brown. The shapes of the vase and the cross are very simple, and while there is some vertical detail on the wall, there is little contrast, and it still shows the detail of the shadow of the cross. Very meditative. This picture was taken in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in fall. The water was fairly still at the time, and a slow shutter speed softened any movement in the water. The colors are soft and muted and kind of blurred together so that the detail isn't distracting. Your eye goes to the rock in the foreground. I can kind of see an inspirational quote being used in this image. This image is monotonal. From white to black. There are a few details in this image, mostly shapes that morph from one arch to another. Again, very calming, yet still interesting. Each arch leads to the next one, and then finally to the ultimate destination, the dark archway. Who would have thought at first glance that these were stairs? I certainly didn't. There are few lines, but the lines that exist draw your eye through the frame, up the steps, and then out the top of the picture. Very little in the way of color changes, just a geometrically interesting, simplistic image. This bunch of frozen berries was photographed at Lake Mattamuskeet in the dead of winter. Everything was covered in ice. I just saw this isolated bunch of berries or seed pods, whatever they are, and liked the diagonal composition of it with a simple, calming color. This last photo was taken in Charleston at Magnolia Plantation. If you've been there, you know there is so much to see, color everywhere. However, I saw this little drop of water hanging on tightly to this blade of grass with the colors behind it, and again the diagonal composition and isolation of the grass blade. I used a very shallow aperture to blur the riot of color in the background to a soft wash of color that emphasized the grass blade and the drop of water. Hope these pictures give you some ideas. Get out and enjoy the beauty of nature at this most wonderful time of year.